So I'm joined today by Claire Lomas. Claire, how are you?
Hi, I'm really good, thank you, Nick.
Good. We were just talking before. It's been a busy month, so you're doing
Yeah,
good.
really busy month. So quite a spell coming up, and I don't know if it's quieter when the kids are about to come on to Christmas holidays, but in a different way, quieter.
In a different way, and within a few days, you'll be like, I want to get back to just speaking the whole time and being busy.
Exactly, I go for a rest.
So listen, let me kick off. Let me ask, kind of, you've been telling your story, and you've been kind of talking about what happened, what you've been going through. Why did you decide to kind of speak up and be talking about your experience?
Yeah, so I just felt that I got a story to share. It was after the London Marathon, so I did that in 17 days using the robotic suit. It was never my intention to be a speaker, but I was asked after that, and it started with going into schools to speak, and the children's reactions made me do more school speaking, and then it went on from there, really, word of mouth, and it became my career, and it's something I never thought that I'd be doing, but absolutely love it.
Hmm.
Before my accident, I was actually a chiropractor, so back to my school days, I always wanted a job that helped people in some way. And though it's totally different to what I used to do, it's still that helping people to get through tough times. We all face obstacles in life, but if we can find the right mindset, we can get through them.
I suppose kind of that's sort of the question. It is your personal story, and you talk about your journey. But how much have you changed your speech or grown your speech suddenly to realise that actually, what can people take away from it?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed a lot, but in a way, that's because I'm always learning. So since the London Marathon, I've done a lot of other challenges, and my goal really with all my challenges is to raise money. That's what I'm passionate about, for making a difference in the future for people with spinal cord injury like myself. Because I feel actually really fortunate. I've only got a back injury, so I'm paralysed from the chest down. So I've got use of my
Mm.
arms. That's how it all started. So since then, yeah, I've done loads of other challenges, and I never stop learning, and that's how my talk develops from my life experiences.
And tell me, kind of, in terms of the challenges, how did you decide? Like, obviously, you start at a huge challenge, like the London Marathon. How do you decide what's next? Is it like people come to you with ideas? Is it like things you set yourself? And give me an example of something which you wanted to do but haven't yet done.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk of challenges, it's always what people see as the things that are in the public eye more, like London Marathon and riding motorbikes and stuff. But actually, my biggest challenge was just getting out of bed when I had no reason to get up. The bits people didn't see. So that was
Mm.
really, it's given me the story. It's not about just what I've done. It's about how do you get through a situation when you feel like every door's been slammed in your face. It's a lot harder than being out there walking the London Marathon. I had people supporting me there, money coming in, lots of claps and cheers. No one was there when I just had to drag myself out of bed to
Yeah.
really do nothing because I'd lost my career, my sport, which I'd just reached the highest level, my relationship fell apart. So it was really every angle had just been taken away from me. I didn't know what on earth I was going to do. But like with the more physical challenges, which they've all tested me in totally different ways. So the London Marathon was coming out day after day, and it was immense physical effort, but also mentally focusing where my legs are because I can't feel them, and when to
Yes.
I have to tilt my pelvis for each step. But then I've also just qualified as a pilot and learned to ride motorbikes, got my race license. So they challenge me in a different way. And in terms of what's next and who kind of comes up with the ideas, that they kind of just feel right to me because they've got to fit in around having two young children,
Mm.
and my life, my working life as well. So I look out for things, but my life's pretty full. And then, yeah, if they fit in, like the flying did, because I can choose the lessons of when I go to. I don't want to do a sport at the highest of levels because you have to be there that week to train. And if it's like
Yeah.
those nativity play, I really want to be able to go. So I have a bit more flexibility, and I've put everything into the sport before my accident. So I'm liking the variety.
I fully understand. Tell me, kind of, the topic of mental health. Kind of, you talked about how to get yourself out of bed in those days. The world's been through a lot over the last 5 years. Kind of, how has your audience changed? Are people more receptive? Are people more open? Are people going deeper with you than maybe they were prior to the pandemic?
I certainly think that we're much more open about mental health like problems. I think it still needs to move forward a bit more, particularly in men. I think it can be a lot harder. No, when I look back at those early days after my accident and think, how did I
Mm.
actually get through it? There were lots of ways I got through it, but one of them is I lent on people. I cried. I shared how I felt. And my husband went through a horrible time in 2015. So we'd been married a few years, and he helped me through the darkest of days. I met him after my accident, a year after, and
Mm.
he helped me when I was struggling. But then roles reversed, and I think it was teamwork at its best, really. And I had to be there for him because he was diagnosed with severe OCD. And the thing is when I think of Dan's hard days, he didn't tell anyone. He battled alone until he hit rock bottom. And so when talking about mental health, it's actually we've both been through very difficult times for different reasons and tackled it in totally different ways.
And people talk regularly about the split, about the kind of men being closed and actually women being. What do you have any thoughts about why, or kind of, and what we can do in order to help men become more open?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not everyone, and some women bottle it up and things. I think if you go back to like children, really, like I think we treat them slightly different. Boys soon they're expected to not show their emotions, get on with it. You're a lad, A lot of them are doing more sport. They're out there on the rugby pitch. They're taught to get out there a bit kind of rough and tumble compared to a lot of girls.
Mm.
So I think it starts quite early, and that closes because I mean, small children before that show their emotions. It starts to stop, and it was exactly the same speaking in primary schools to secondary schools. All the hands are up for the primary schools asking questions,
Yeah.
and then whether it's shyness or speaking up, it's a lot harder, and what people think. And I think it does change as we grow up, and particularly with boys, kind of that get on with it attitude.
I love what you just said, because kind of I often get asked about from speakers about where should I speak, who should I speak to, and I'm always like, go and speak to a bunch of primary school kids, because ultimately if you can deliver that speech, you can literally deliver any speech at all, because they will ask you everything.
Exactly, it makes me laugh in the Q&A sessions because I always say, at my events, non-corporate events, they don't worry me at all. But when I go to the primary schools, you don't know what you're going to be asked next. And one little boy had his hand up so tall, I couldn't not ask him. And I was like, what would you like to ask? And he said, if I got a chainsaw out and cut your legs off, would you feel that? I was like, you've not got one, have you? But I'm sure you have my legs now as well. That'd be another story, wouldn't it?
That's brilliant. And you're thinking to yourself, I will never get asked that question again, but that is a brilliant question.
Exactly, curiosity of kids, I love it.
Go on, one last question for you, kind of in terms of the audience and what you want to get them to feel when they leave you, when the session's over. Are there how do you judge kind of whether you've hit the mark, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that's different. I've done a lot of virtual events as well, and I've got used to them over the pandemic, and they've got benefits and they've been good. And I've still done some this year, and they can be a real positive thing. But reading your audience is a huge part, and that's what I love about face-to-face events. And seeing the reactions, and getting deeper into the areas they want to, whether that's during the speech or in the Q&A. And the big thing is like we're all going to face obstacles and challenges, and no one's going to feel motivated all the time. And it's how to dig deep and push the boundaries, and hopefully through my journey and how I've done it, there's not one certain thing that I can say I've done, but a lot of it is by taking opportunities that sometimes don't jump out opportunities. And the other thing is discipline, like making yourself do stuff when you don't feel like it. And it all started with me in the early days after my accident, was just going out for lunch with friends. It's a bit like a jigsaw. To get the bigger picture, to get the final piece, you've got to put all the pieces in. And the first few pieces are often the hardest, whether that's a goal in your career or in personal life. And it starts by putting those pieces in. So, don't underestimate those first few pieces. And I don't think I ever felt proud of myself in the early days, just for forcing myself out the house when I really didn't want to. And I should have done, because I wouldn't have the story I've got to share if I hadn't done those small things.
Amazing. Claire, thank you so much indeed for your time. Been a pleasure speaking to you, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Nick.